It was just after 1 a.m. when Jamie stumbled out of the bar, her head buzzing from a night of laughter and drinks with friends. The streets of Phoenix were dimly lit, the city alive with a different kind of energy at this hour. She had planned to call it a night, but a sudden craving for a late-night snack pulled her back into the bustling nightlife. Pulling out her phone, Jamie opened the Uber app, her fingers tapping against the screen with familiar ease. She requested a ride, her mind wandering to the delicious tacos she knew were waiting just a few blocks away. As she waited, she could feel the cool desert air wrap around her, invigorating and fresh. A few minutes later, a black sedan pulled up to the curb, and her heart lightened at the sight of the familiar Uber logo on the dashboard. She approached the car and confirmed her name with the driver, a man in his late 30s with a calm demeanor and a polite smile. He nodded as she slid into the back seat, relieved to be headed home soon. "Where to?" he asked, his voice even and smooth as he put the car into gear. "Just take me to the taco place on 5th and Main," Jamie replied, leaning back against the plush seat. The drive began smoothly, the soft hum of the engine lulling her into a relaxed state as the city lights flickered past the window. But as the minutes ticked by, Jamie noticed something unsettling. The Uber app on her phone wasn't tracking their route. She glanced at her phone, frowning in confusion. The little map that usually displayed their journey was stuck on a stationary point, the estimated time of arrival blinking ominously. "Hey," she said, trying to sound casual, "are we still on track?" "The app isn't updating." The driver glanced at her through the rearview mirror, his smile unwavering. "Oh, it's just a little glitch," he assured her, his tone calm. "Just sit back and relax." Jamie attempted to shake off the growing unease, but a knot tightened in her stomach as they continued to drive. The streets began to look unfamiliar, and the driver didn't seem to be heading toward the taco place at all. Instead, they were venturing deeper into the residential areas, the houses becoming sparse and the streetlights dimmer. "Are you sure we're going the right way?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. "Trust me," he replied, his smile still plastered on his face. "I know a shortcut." A chill ran down Jamie's spine. Something felt off. The friendly demeanor of the driver began to feel more sinister. She glanced at the dashboard and was taken aback when she spotted a small piece of paper tucked beneath the driver's air freshener. Curiosity got the better of her, and she leaned forward to get a better look. To her horror, she realized it was a printout of her obituary, dated for the following day. The headline read, "Local woman found dead in mysterious circumstances." Her heart raced as panic flooded her mind. What is this?" she stammered, her voice trembling. The driver chuckled softly, his eyes still fixed on the road. "Just a little reminder," he said, his tone eerie. "You really should have been more careful about who you trust." Her heart pounding in her chest, Jamie felt the walls of the car closing in on her. Adrenaline surged through her veins as she realized she needed to act fast. With no time to waste, she glanced out the window and saw they were approaching a red light. As the car slowed to a stop, Jamie made her decision. With a burst of courage, she threw open the door and jumped out, rolling onto the asphalt. Pain shot through her body, but she didn't stop. She scrambled to her feet and started running, the sound of the car door slamming behind her echoing in her ears. "Get back here," the driver shouted, his voice laced with anger. She sprinted down the dimly lit street, her breath coming in frantic gasps. The adrenaline pushed her forward, and she turned down an alley, praying she could lose him. As she ran, she pulled out her phone, desperately trying to call for another Uber. "Please, please, please," she muttered as she hit the button, praying for help to arrive. Her heart raced as she glanced over her shoulder, half expecting to see the driver barreling after her. But the street was empty, and she quickly ducked behind a dumpster, crouching low and trying to catch her breath. The minutes felt like hours as she waited, her heart pounding in her chest. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she saw the familiar headlights of a car approaching. It pulled up to the curb, and she could see the Uber logo on the roof. She jumped up and ran toward it, waving her arms frantically. "Please, let me in," she cried as she reached the passenger side. The driver, a young man with short hair and a concerned expression, opened the door. "Are you okay?" he asked, his eyes wide with concern. "Just drive, please," Jamie urged, practically throwing herself into the back seat. As the car pulled away, Jamie sank back into the seat, her heart still racing. She glanced back at the street, half expecting to see the black sedan following them, but there was nothing, only the quiet hum of the city at night. The Uber driver looked at her in the rearview mirror, the concern etched on his face. "What happened back there?" he asked gently. I ordered an Uber, but it wasn't real. The driver showed me my obituary," she exclaimed, her voice shaking. "I thought he was going to kill me." The driver's eyes widened as he glanced at her again, clearly taken aback. "That's terrifying. You're safe now, though. Let's get you home." As they drove through the streets of Phoenix, Jamie felt the weight of the experience settle heavily on her chest. She replayed each moment in her mind, the fear, the panic, and the desperate need to escape. She couldn't shake the image of the driver's twisted smile from her thoughts. When they finally arrived at her apartment, Jamie hurriedly paid the fare and stumbled out of the car, her legs shaky beneath her. The driver called out after her, "Make sure to report that Uber." She nodded, still in shock, and rushed inside, locking the door behind her. As she leaned against the door, she took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. In the safety of her home, she pulled out her phone and opened the Uber app. Her heart sank when she saw the notification, "Your last ride was cancelled." She felt a wave of fear wash over her once more. It had all been real, and she needed to tell someone. After a few moments of gathering her thoughts, she dialed the police, recounting the terrifying experience. They assured her they would look into it, but she couldn't shake the feeling that the driver would come back for her. Hours later, as the adrenaline wore off and the reality of what happened settled in, Jamie lay in bed, unable to sleep. She stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment of the night in her mind. She had escaped, but the haunting memory of the driver's smile and the obituary lingered in the back of her mind. The next morning, she awoke to the sound of her phone buzzing. It was a notification from the Uber app. Curiosity piqued, she opened it and felt her blood run cold. There, on the screen, was the name of the driver from the night before, along with a message, "I'm still watching you." In that moment, Jamie realized that the nightmare was far from over. The wrong Uber had changed her life forever, and she knew she would never feel safe again.